Alright, D-Wong Way videos here. I'm going to show you the most basic setup to take a kid's fishing. You know, I think a lot of parents are really kind of intimidated because they're not sure how to tie a hook, you know, what to do. So to make it simpler and more fun, I'm going to show you a basic setup to take a little kid fishing or anybody fishing. Maybe you just want to go fishing and you want to catch a bluegill or a bass, or just go down a local pond or stream, whatever. But anyways, you have your string. This is braid. I'm only using it because that way you could see. I would recommend any type of fluorocarbon, or if you have a spinning rod, we use Trilene XL, but this is clear, right? So the thinner line that you use, the easier it is to cast. So I like 8-pound tests. If you're going for bluegill, you can use 6-pound tests, 4-pound tests, anything light. If you're fishing for bluegill, you can put a line of string on a stick and have this set up. You don't even need a fishing line, fishing pole. In fact, that might be my next video. So anyways, let's talk about setting this up. And if you're taking a little kid fishing, part of fishing that you need to teach children is to enjoy the whole preparation of fishing. That's the exciting part. The exciting part is going fishing. It's not always catching the fish. Sometimes I catch fish and it's a few seconds, 30 seconds. Okay, so catching fish is the enjoyment of seeing the reaction, response of you planning correctly and you preparing, and no preparation of going fishing. So do this with children, maybe practice on your own. So the first thing you want to do is you have your line, you put it through your fishing pole, or if you're just going to go bluegill fishing, you just have your fishing line and you tie your hook on. So this is a simple worm hook, just it has shanks right there. If you want to catch fish, you put a little worm on a squiggly worm, live worm on a hook, throw it in the river, American River, you'll catch steelhead, you'll catch all kinds of trout and just bluegill and things. So we have a hook here, and so to tie this is a Palomar knot. You go through the hole, and then with the same string you're gonna go back through the hole, okay, and it's gonna create a loop. Okay, so when it creates the loop, this is it is actually, you can pull it straight through, okay. It should be able to just swing. So some people make a loop and then they just put it through the hook. So this is why I like it teaching kids. I taught this to my kids because it was like tying their shoes. So you have your laces, right? You're gonna take your laces in one hand, you're gonna take your laces in the other hand, and you're going to, just like tie your shoes, you're going to put one, okay, and you're gonna go through and you're gonna make a loop. Okay, like you're tying your shoes. Okay, you go up, okay, and then before you make your bow. So anyways, it does that. It makes a little loop here. That loop is gonna go around the hook, okay, or lure, or anything you're tying. I use the Palomar knot for everything. So you can use this Palomar knot for lures, for swivels. So you take this and you put it right over the hook, okay, and then you just pull tight, okay? Make sure this little tagline doesn't get in there. So you may want to put some water on it. I just spit on it. It's kids like that, boys. Yeah, throw some spit on there. And then you take your line that goes to your fishing pole, the main line, and you pull tight. And it cinches, okay? You may need to take this tagline, cinch it up a little bit, you know, cinch down. And that's your hook right there, right? So it's tied on. It's a really simple way. I'm gonna take this excess piece off here and I'm just gonna cut that off. Okay, get that out of the way. So you have your hook, your string. Next thing is, if you're gonna put a worm on there or anything, a lot of times they float or they don't get very far down. So what you want is it's called a split shot. Just a really simple weight, and it basically just pinches on there. So I'm gonna put this on there, and I'm gonna put it on there. Yeah, pinch it. When I was a kid, we used our teeth all the time, but now I have to wisen up and save my teeth, so I don't have dentures, and I use pliers. Okay, it's always good to have a pliers when you go fishing, because you can do this, but you can also get the hook out of the fish much easier. All right, so that's your basic setup for fishing. I use this setup with kids all the time. You know, I'll put a night crawler on there, not even a night crawler, just anything. I'll put this little, these baits are great, these Berkeley baits. They have scent in them that trout feed on in the pen, so they love those. And so we go around and we just use this setup and cast it around along the bank, walk along the shore, anything. Just cast it out there and we just work it back, drag them on the bottom. If you want to put a worm on there, anything you want, you'll put on there. Okay, so to add an additional enhancement, I would add a bobber for little kids. Okay, so when you fish, one of the fun things about fishing is the visual excitement of seeing the fish bite. So this is the most basic bobber that's been around forever. I think I have another one here. This is another one. This is one I use to cast out really far. Okay, you fill it up with water to make it heavier, and the line actually goes through this bobber, so you don't see it go under. You'll feel it, your line pull right through it. This is a great thing to get, like you want to fish with flies. Okay, so flies or anything light, something on top of the water, that's another type of bobber. But for kids, you want to, and I really enjoy bobber fishing. It's a lot of fun. So basically, you squeeze. You got that? You squeeze the bottom there, squeeze that, and you put it on the line, and then you do the top end, and you got to put your thumb here to stop it, and then you got to push just the red part, and then it makes that, see that pop, makes that pop out of there. Okay, and then you take your other line, the rest of the line, you take it up along there. All right, so come on. Give me a bobber. All right, got it in there. I wish that it was easy. Anyway, so that would be your bobber setup right there. That's the most basic setup to take a kid fishing. If you want to take a kid fishing and have a chance to just have fun, and you cast that out, it sits under the water. This sits on top of the water. So when the fish hits, it'll pull this under the water. It's the most exciting feeling to go, hey, there it goes. It goes, doot, 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 doot. And then you tell them, because a lot of times we're just playing around. Little kids, they got to run around. So they run around, and I'll watch the bobber. And all of a sudden, a bluegill will come on or something, and it'll bite on it, and it'll just jiggle. Or it'll just go, boop, and it'll just disappear in the water. And I go, wait, there it goes. And you just make it really exciting. And then the little kids just come flying over. And they're excited. But if you want to take a kid fishing, this is the most basic setup. Bobber, sinker, hook. Increase the ratio of hookups. Take your kid out and dig up some worms. Or you can look under rocks. A lot of areas that worms like to hang out and hide. We have a lot of worms in the garden. Sometimes we'll be digging them up. So take them and stick them on there. Just stick them on there. What I like to do is I break the worm like 3/4, and I thread the hook down the worm. Okay, so let's say, for example, if this was, all right, got something that kind of looks like a worm. All right, so this is a little worm. It's wiggling around. This doesn't, but anyways, what I do is I grab it and I run it down the middle of the worm. And do it a few times, you'll be all right. And then you poke it out, and you cast it out like that. That's what. So if that was a real worm, that's what my worm would look like. Night crawlers are really pretty large, so I actually pinch them in half or cut them in half. It actually makes it easier to run them. And make sure you leave a little tail out there. Okay, so this is the setup I actually use right here without the bobber. Or you can use a bobber on the American River for steelhead. I just go around with a night crawler just like that, and I just cast out on 6 to 8 pound tests, monofilament line. Go up and down the American River and just drift the rapids, and you catch little steelhead, maybe up to a pound, pound and a half all day long along the American River. It's a great setup. So night crawler setup like that. All right, so I hope that helps. And if you just take this, tie it on a string, get a real piece of worm chunk, a real worm from the garden, and go out to your local pond, I bet you'll catch a ton of bluegill. You're sitting right next to the bank and just dip it. That's giving me some ideas for our next video. All right, so that's D. Wong Wei videos. If you like my video, please subscribe and like, and take a kid fishing. Thanks.